You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
I will tell you, I am in my home office today. I am secluded.
Dude, those acoustics are awesome.
It's good to know.
Yeah, it really sounds great.
Yeah. I'm going to turn this into a recording studio. But by the way, I one of these days I am going to become a professional musician and just really blow up the charts.
Right. You'll leave this whole legal thing in the past. You're going to get a real job.
Lawyer who?
Oh, right. Actually, that would be a good story. You know, everyone likes good stories in regards to, artists and stuff like that. Show this guy threw away his dead-end lawyer job to become a rock star. Dave McDivitt. Or D. McD. I still think he should be a rapper. D. McD.
D. McD.
Just sounds good. So what's up, buddy? When last we spoke, you were blowing out for the first rounds of these, the anti-foam, cancer-causing foam thing.
Yeah, it's, here's, as I mentioned before, things are continuing to heat up because we've got our first trial for the personal injury cases after, 9 years of this litigation. And it's in October. And so, you're seeing more advertising, and even from our firm, too. I mean, just making sure that we let people know that if you've got, kidney cancer, testicular cancer that's been, more recently diagnosed even, like you might have lived in Security, Widefield, Fountain, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago, but it's, more recently that you've actually been diagnosed with ulcerative colitis or thyroid disease or kidney or testicular cancer. If you want to be involved in this litigation, your time may be running out, because what happens with cases like this, the big mass tort case where you've got thousands of clients from around the country and multiple defendants and a lot of massive exposure for these corporate defendants like 3M, that the goal ultimately, and the judge has made no secret about this, he wants the parties to settle. He's really pushing settlement right now. If this case is going to settle, it may settle, this year. That doesn't mean people are going to get paid out this year, but there's going to be a limit on who's then able to make a claim. And so that's why we're encouraging people, if you've been diagnosed, in the last year and a half, let us know, because and you're not already represented by our firm or by another firm. Time is truly running out to get a lawyer. It's a no cost thing to get the lawyer. Otherwise you can be left out in the cold, and you've got.
And that's what they would like. I'm sure the folks from 3M would gladly have you not be involved. Probably, right? That's
exactly.
And I'm back. The mental mindset for corporations.
That's exactly right. I'm back in court next month. In Charleston, South Carolina, which I've said this before, but for anybody who's new to this, our stuff happened in El Paso County, but the cases in Charleston, South Carolina now, because it's been consolidated with cases like ours all around the country. So anyway, I'll be back in August for that, and then traveling. So I'm working very heavily on that case right now. And then also getting ready to send my kids off to summer camp.
Camp? And then, back to school again here soon, huh? It's amazing how quickly this thing is blowing by, isn't it?
It's tough because, now I've got a teenager. My daughter's a teen, and it's flying by. Yeah.
Trouble. And if you want to be involved, if you have some complications or possible complications from the foam, McDivittlaw.com if you want to start there. That's a great place to do it. And it's funny, I had a tragedy, but someone let me know maybe it wasn't a tragedy over the 4th of July holiday. I have a freezer I turned into a beer kegerator.
Okay,
so it's this thermostat in there, and it kicks, turns on the freezer every time it gets to anything above 33 degrees. And then it kicks off once it gets to that temperature, so it keeps the beer nice and cold. Had a malfunction, unplugged it. We forgot to plug in the thermometer, so my beer fridge blew up.
Holy cow.
And had all kinds of great beers in there over years. And several really old bottles of the pumpkin ale that Bristol Brewing does every year. And they used to use the pumpkins from that patch there at Vinatucci Farms.
Vinatucci? Yeah.
Which is funny. And so someone's like, hey, maybe it's best you didn't drink those. It's like, hey, maybe it's not so bad. But still, I had 3 or 4 that were, oh, God, I don't even know how many years old.
Contaminated pumpkins. I didn't, that's a case there.
Why don't they stop doing that after the fact, which sucks? I mean, they should be involved. You ruined something perfect, foam.
that foam has ruined a lot of things. But but the irony though is it was really damn good at putting out fires. I mean, like that's the thing. Like these aircraft fires. That's why they designed it. But like a lot of things, I mean. Yeah,
like they talk about Roundup, but that's still I think very controversial, right? And stuff.
Kills
like that.
a lot of weeds, but it can kill you too. So.
What do you want? What do you want, humans? Jeez. All right, let's move on to some of the fun stuff, man. We got all kinds of stuff to cover here today. One of my favorite is a guy who wants to get his lazy kids out the freaking house. That's going to be you one day. You're all sad right now. I have to send my teenager off to summer camp and blah, blah. Then give him 5 years, David would be like, oh, God, I got to get these kids out of my freaking house. They're driving me nuts.
You know what's funny is because I do a lot of legal research just in my job, obviously. And I told my kids last night, in anticipation of the show today, I said, look, kids, I'm going to be working from home tomorrow. I'm doing the show, so please don't interrupt me. And by the way, also don't look at my my legal search history on my computer because you might get a little scared that I'm trying to find a way to kick you out of the house.
That's what you're searching for?
Well, yeah. It has to, and it's all within these legal resources that I have too. But this is not a situation that I deal with in my daily practice very often.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And so one of the things
it's not very often a parent steps up and says, "I'm so sick of my kids. Help me get them out of my house."
That's correct. And usually, and I think we're going to get into this, and I don't know if now is the time, but I presume we're dealing with adult children here that are living in the house. But, what it invites is another question, which is, are there situations where you've got a minor child living in your house and you're trying to kick the minor out? And so, again, that's something for a family lawyer.
We'll see if we can get Curtis on the line here in a few minutes. We'll call Grace's question. So that here in a few minutes. This is probably a quickie here. Does McDivitt Law handle malpractice suits against doctors and or hospitals and staff? Is that something you guys do, or do you know where someone would go for that?
We work very closely with several lawyers who specialize in that. That's one of those interesting areas of law too, where I will just tell you a lot of people, and I don't know the specifics of this call or what they're asking about, but a lot of people go in for whether it's medical care or legal help, working with a professional, a dentist, anybody who is providing some kind of professional service. And, most of the time it's a great situation. It works out well. I mean, you might not like the underlying issue, whether it's a health condition, you've got cancer, nobody's like, that's not a happy situation anyway, but maybe you feel like your doctor did a good job given what you're dealing with right there, or headaches or flu symptoms, whatever that is, or a lawyer because you're going through a real estate issue or a divorce. And then but there are times where you feel that professional that you have hired did something that they shouldn't have done within the kind of the construct of that professional relationship. I'm not talking about some kind of like inappropriate thing that they did, but that they failed to meet the standard of care that they're supposed to meet in their professional responsibility. So as a doctor, for example, or as a dentist, if they do something that it really dips below the standard of care that you would expect a doctor to do or a lawyer to do. So it's not just limited to the field of medicine, but malpractice in general is this idea that what that professional has done dipped below a standard of care, and then as a result, there was a negative outcome. You tend to get a lot of people who are patients who are unhappy with an outcome, may believe that their medical provider dipped below that standard of care. And so they say, well, I want to sue for malpractice. And those can be very complicated cases. They can be very involved, and they can be very difficult to win too, because what you may not like an outcome, but does that mean that your professional dipped below the standard of care? It happens with lawyers too. You didn't like the outcome of the case. Was it because your lawyer did something wrong, or just because the facts were really against you?
So it's like a facts or butthurt scenario.
Yeah, and it can be. And this is not to minimize situations where there are very real instances of professional failures, whether in medicine or in law. Other like financial malpractice, malfeasance, things like that too. So, at our firm, our specialty really is on injuries, and obviously in medical malpractice, there are you're dealing with people who are physically injured, and that's why they're seeing a medical provider to begin with. We get called about medical malpractice cases all of the time. That's really something that we evaluate very carefully. as my son used to say, carefully. And we work with some other attorneys who really specialize their practice on that. That's really not the main focus of our practice. And that is not to say that we haven't been involved in some egregious cases where, you've got everybody in the medical community turning their head and saying, whoa, that provider did this, that facility did that. We're not cool with that.
Some of the stuff's very obvious. And that's, a lot of these questions, even if they don't specialize or can't help you in your specific case, McDivitt Law is going to know where to shoot you over to.
Yep. And we spend a lot of our day trying to refer people out to, yeah.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
First of all, let's get to entry one. We got sent to us very late, came in day before yesterday, something like that, in regards to holding parking spots. It's a thing. So this is from Citizen Tim. I've seen videos of people standing in parking spots, saving them for someone else to come park a car. What happens if I hit them trying to take the spot? Does it make a difference if it's street parking versus parking lot parking? I saw a crazy video that it was kind of genius. I mean, it's kind of a jerk move, but it's kind of genius. So there was a guy, and he acted like he was on some kind of drugs. Like, I think the drug's called Trank. You've seen it like on the East Coast, like Baltimore. I've seen some crazy videos from the streets of Baltimore where people are like frozen. Like they do this drug and it's almost like a glitch where they just pause in weird positions too. It's like you're bent over backwards and this guy's just standing there. And it's very creepy. It almost looks like the humans turning into zombies, kind of.
Good God.
But some guy did that in a parking spot. And, it stiffed up, and then people would drive by because no one's going to get out and mess with a guy who's in that state, right? But then when his buddy rolls up, he just straightens up, moves out of the way, and his buddy pulls in. It's like, that was brilliant, right? Or for the same thing, you could just kind of run in circles. Well, I guess if you were walking around with a knife, they'd probably call the police.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if you want to look like a maniac, I mean, have at it.
Good point. But there could be ramifications. I just thought about that.
This is one of those things where I kind of feel like a lot of people have done this, where they've not to be malicious, but they've saved a spot, or they're trying to wave somebody into a spot. They see an open spot. You got there to the restaurant early and you see one for your family.
Just open up in the front.
Yeah, and I'm just randomly throwing this out there. Like, let's just say you're a single dad and you got to the restaurant before your mom and dad, and then they're cruising down the street and you want them to have a nice, like, easy access to the restaurant. I think Dave's done this before.
He just did it this weekend.
Yeah, you go out and you just kind of stand there to wave at them, but you're not trying to save the spot. You just happen to be in the spot so they can see you and they know there's a spot there. I'm just saying, I could see somebody doing that.
Yeah, just innocently, not maliciously doing it, just doing it.
Yeah, but you can't. So, all seriousness. So, let me get to the guy's first question. Can I hit them?
Can you hit them? God, please say yes, Dave McDivitt. If there's a God in heaven, you'll say yes.
I believe in God in heaven, but I'm saying no. That's firm no. You can't just hit a pedestrian because they're saving a spot. I mean, you could, if you inadvertently hit the pedestrian, even then you've got major challenges. But car versus person, the car's gonna,
it's assault,
the person's gonna lose, but then the driver of the car is gonna lose too. That's a no-win situation. You're dumb to really try to save a spot in those situations. Like, it's one thing to just try to be there to wave somebody in, but if you see another car that's trying to navigate into that spot, you have an obligation to move. Now, that's going to be dictated obviously by city ordinances. And Colorado Springs has an ordinance that prohibits somebody from standing and in the street doing some of these things that I think you could argue this would fall under. If you're not just standing in the street, but intentionally trying to obstruct a street, a sidewalk, a parking lane, a median, so that somebody else can't get their immediate free and uninterrupted use and passage of that area. Now, a parking lot, a privately owned parking lot, I still don't think that that's a good idea. That may be controlled by, and even patrolled by some private security, and they may ask you to leave. But the thing is, what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a standoff. You've got the guy who wants to pull into the spot. You've got the person standing in the spot. And listen, I mean, it depends on how obstinate you want to be. I mean, if you are just determine that you're going to get that spot. You kind of pull in and block the spot from the next car. The problem is maybe you're also blocking traffic. I mean, this is a no-win situation.
Chain of events could be horrible.
Yeah. So legally, there are consequences for the person who is trying to save the spot if it really kind of rises to that level where the authorities come in. Obviously, if you hit the person, you've got an immediate issue there, both criminally and civilly. What was that noise? Did you just die? Are you dying right now?
I just said boo because you should be able to run them over. I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's not a carve out in the law for that.
They just keep people on an even keel if you can.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it. I mean, I've seen people do that. Look, I was talking what I mentioned earlier. I say kind of tongue in cheek. I could see, waving your parents into a spot. I've done that, but not to try to deliberately keep somebody else from that spot. It's just at the time I did it, traffic was clear. My parents were driving down the street, nobody in front of them. I was standing in the spot to wave them in. You see that a lot. I have seen people who stand and save those spots, and it really irritates me. Or they'll put a cone out on the street in front of their house. That could be another violation of a city ordinance as well. So it's, there's a part of the law that kicks in for some of these things. And then there's another thing that is just like the moral code, like our community code. How do we relate to each other as people? If you've got workmen coming to your house, you live on a city street, and you know that tomorrow they need to get in front of your house, there's a permit process that those workmen can go through in order to get signage so that they can block out that spot. Sometimes they're not able to get to it in time. You throw a couple of cones out there to try to block it. There's no legal authority that it's going to keep somebody from being able to then move your cones and park there absent, a permitted sign. It's kind of we all try to work together. And I wish people would maybe work, it's so easy to say it, work to be better neighbors with one another. But if you're trying to save a spot for somebody and then you see another car that wants to take that spot, the right thing to do is just move out of the way. Let them get the spot.
Right. Always the rule, the great rule to live by is doing unto others as you would do unto yourself, right? Or something like that, whatever the thing is.
Yeah, the golden rule. My grandma, she died a few years ago, very close. She was in her mid-90s. And in her final years, she really pushed the golden rule. It's obviously something we all kind of grow up with, whether you live in a family that sees it in kind of the biblical terms or just the traditional do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's just like the moral code, right? And she would go around to elementary schools and give awards to kids who demonstrated that ethos, and it was a really beautiful thing. It was beautiful. I have the award she gave to my own children. I don't know that they were deserving of it, but they were her grandkids, so they got awards too. And that was like her. I would say it was kind of her final contribution while she was on this earth, was to really try to push kids to live that. And we as adults need to continue to do it too. And I sound preachy right here. And I've fallen below that so many times where I think, oh gosh, I really wish I hadn't behaved that way, because that's not how I see myself. Now I don't do that a lot, but I think if you're going to save a spot, be prepared to just move out of the way. It'll save you from any kind of penalty. And it might keep you from getting run over by that person who gives 0 Fs, if you know what I mean, and is willing to hit you.
A related question, too, from my personal life. So can I at least slap someone who leaves their cart right in the middle of the aisle at Costco?
Did you slap them, or are you planning to?
I want to slap them. Can I slap them, legally speaking, for the jerkum?
No, you cannot. But what do you mean they're leaving their cart in the middle of Costco?
You ever see people like... They got the free sample of cheese, so suddenly everyone just the lady and her 5 kids abandon their cart in the middle of the aisle. They'll run to get a piece of cheese, and then block everything up. I'll give you a piece of cheese, I tell her.
Ross, you can do that, but I'm going to suggest you find another lawyer to defend you, because you're going to need one.
Do you know, like a Better Call Saul kind of guy?
Yeah, something like that.
I need that guy. I need that guy. All right, there's no violence upon other people. Okay, do unto others, everyone. Do unto others. Okay, we're gonna call. I'll see you call Curtis here in this next break. I think this one could be a quick answer, but I'm not sure if it's typo. I assume it's some legal jargon that I don't understand. This is Sandy's question.
Okay, what is it?
Saying, can a POA still have authority if the person is dead? What is a POA? Is that a real thing or is that a typo?
No, that's not a typo. That stands for a power of attorney.
Power of attorney. See?
Yep.
All right.
I can just answer this really quickly. No, it does not survive. So when the person who's I give you a power of attorney, Ross, that allows you to make certain decisions on my behalf if I'm not able to, doesn't mean if I'm dead. Because if the minute I die, that POA no longer has that authority. You can no longer make those decisions, and instead, it's the person who's an executor or the personal representative of the estate of the person who died would then inherit that authority.
Or just pass down the line.
Yeah, I mean, and it could be this one and the same. It's just that if you're the person who's then been named as the executor of the estate, and you were also the person who held the POA during my life, then yeah, you'll still be able to make the decisions, but it won't be pursuant to that particular power of attorney document. It'll be pursuant to the powers within the additional documentation.
Is there such thing as a POG, power of ghost? Ooh.
There is, but it's not something that we talk about.
There is a secret side of law.
There's a secret society where we go through
the dark side of there's dark web. There's also dark law involving ghosts and ghost rights.
Yeah. And a lot of sorcery.
That could be the next Ghostbusters theme.
No. And all joking aside, I didn't even really dive into this, but have you been reading about people who are buying witch spells on Etsy?
I saw that today.
Yes.
I didn't know it was a thing or not.
Yeah, I think it's a thing. People who hold themselves out as witches are selling. And I'm not denigrating anybody for doing this or for purchasing it. I'm just telling you, I wasn't aware of this, but there's a person who thought that this financial benefit that they got and finding a boyfriend was all due to a $25 spell charm that they purchased from a witch on Etsy.
Dude, I'm looking at one right now. There's a make a lawyer fall in love with you potion for only $25.
You're listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM. Presented by McDivitt Law Firm.
So real quick, let's just read Curtis's question to the Law Frog. You can also submit your questions anytime. Just go to kilo943.com. On the drop-down, there's a contact drop-down. One of them is Law Frog. You just click that and it gets us an email. It's real easy. So Curtis says, my kids have been lazily living with us for almost 2 years. One refuses to get a job or work or contribute anything for the past year, and we want her removed. She has also caused a bed bug infestation, which she is too lazy to help get rid of. She brought in my son and his girlfriend. So he's got 2 kids and then his son and his girlfriend living with us as well. That won't be removed. A very long story. For that one, you probably have to contact me. And that's exactly what we did. We got Curtis, I believe. You're on line 1. Curtis, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, guys. How about yourselves?
Good, man. So how old are the kids, by the way? And we got 3, so you got the son and a daughter, or son and his girlfriend, and then you got a daughter.
Yes, sir. My daughter, she's the oldest. She's going to be 22 in August.
Okay.
And my son is 25, or going to be 25. And his girlfriend is around the same age. So they're all old adults.
Okay, yeah, that's one of the questions I know you had, Dave, was you want to make sure there were no minors involved, right?
Yep, correct. That's huge. That makes a huge difference.
Thank God, no more kids.
Famous last words, right? Be careful.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the short answer is, yeah, you can get it. You can get them the hell out. Now, it is not going to just be an overnight thing. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you this. The best way to do it is to just negotiate with the kids to get them out kind of informally.
Now, do you want them all out or just the daughter?
Yeah. We want the daughter and my son and his girlfriend out. Like I said, it's a long story, but, after you break them with a bunch of things in my house and you work and you go and you got money to buy food and order it to your door every day and things like that, all we ask you to do is pay your rent, and you can't do that. Well, what happens to a normal landlord? They kick them out, right?
Right.
That's right. And it's no different here, too. So I want to be clear about something here, because we're talking about them living in your actual, call it a single family home, right? This is not another property that you own that they live in. They're living with you in your home.
I'm taking over the mortgage that my mother paid on for 10 years before she died. So I'm getting the house. Title's in my name. And we're paying on the mortgage every month for it. And we decided to let them come live with us to try to help them get on their feet.
So it is a separate residence, though, right?
It's not a separate. It's the same structure.
Well,
Okay,
wait,
all right.
go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, it's a house.
It's a separate house that you basically own. So they're not technically living in your house with you and your wife?
No, they live with us. They live downstairs. They got my other bedroom.
Okay, so this is all in one house.
Yeah, that impacts it too. Yeah, so no, the minute you let somebody stay with you, you can theoretically have created a tenancy relationship with them, a landlord-tenant relationship, even with your own children, adult children. And when that happens, then you typically have to follow a formal procedure to then evict them. Because if they won't go voluntarily, if you can't negotiate with them to get them out of the house, then there's a process that involves putting them on notice in writing that they need to leave by a certain amount of time. Now, based on the type of tenant and landlord relationship you have, and you can infer perhaps a tenancy at will, where there is just no set time. It could be inferred as a month-to-month tenancy. There may be some kind of agreement you've had in place. And all of that is important to try to understand. And we don't have to get to that today on the phone, because I'm going to suggest that you speak to a lawyer who does this type of work. But the idea here, Curtis, is that you will need the basics. You will need to put them on notice that they need to leave. You need to do it in writing. They have notice in writing. And then if they don't leave by that date, then you can follow a certain procedure to get the courts involved. It's part of that eviction process. So there'll be a court. You bring it in front of the court will set up a hearing on the matter, and then you've got to put them on notice of that hearing date. And then the judge will hear everything and most likely enter a judgment in your favor, and then you have to then enforce that and get them out. So it is a mildly complicated process if they won't leave.
So it is almost identical to trying to evict someone who is an official renter.
It is identical.
Dude, that's terrible. Like, when did that change? It used to be like, hey, you're 18, get the hell out.
Well, I mean, when
did that change?
But Ross, I don't know that that's changed necessarily. I mean, I don't know the history of these tenancy laws, but what you're talking about is a situation where the 18-year-old says, okay, Dad kicked me out, or I have to go out on my own now. But we're dealing with a situation with Curtis, it sounds like, where kids said, no, screw you, Dad. We ain't living.
We like you.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
We've got it good here.
What's that, Curtis?
I said they like free rent since I'm not an actual landlord, and it's all it was a written one until my son decided to change everything my wife and I had put on a written one, and then when it went to verbal, so now it's just a verbal rental agreement, and like they were paying rent for a while, but then they stopped, and they got money to blow on themselves, but they won't help us. They're running up our bills all month. Right. We're a month behind on everything. They refuse to help with anything. They got money to spend on themselves, and then my oldest, or both of them, were telling me that they're going to try to drag it out as long as they possibly can in courts. That cost us more and more money.
Right. Now, Curtis,
I have others, and they're sorry, but they're also threatening to take our house away. Then nobody can live with it if we kick them out.
Right.
And I don't know what to do.
This is a start. I want to give you some things not to do, which is to take some kind of aggressive action, dumping their stuff out of the house, shutting off the water downstairs. Anything that makes it uninhabitable, literally, for them to live there will go against you.
Like harassment.
That will get right. Well, not harassment. I mean, it's then violating the terms of the lease that you did have in place, formally written. Now it's a verbal lease, but you can't. A landlord has an obligation to make sure that it is a habitable place. So you don't want to give the kids a defense or an argument to say, hey, we've got, we've got this slumlord here. And then that puts a burden back on you, Curtis. So
right.
Here's what you should. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but I'm going to tell you right now what to do is just to contact an attorney who handles landlord issues. There are a number of attorneys out there in El Paso County who do this. You will have to pay them some money. Yeah, I know.
My money's all tied up trying to get bills caught up.
So he's struggling financially.
So here you do. Put them on notice in writing. Keep a copy for yourself of what you've done.
So best email, or what's the best way to give that so you know that, hey, yeah, here's the official receipt?
Here's what I recommend doing, because I just think this protects you. You send a certified letter to their address, which is your house, right? And in the contents of that letter too, you also then email to them as well, so that they have it both in emails that you can say they're on notice. And then you just need to identify, I think by the terms of what you've said, I want to be careful that it's not necessarily a tenancy at will. It could be a month to month, in which case you have to give them 21 days. But you can go online, Curtis, and you can do this for largely free. You can essentially research I can give you the statute that you need to look at as well. But it's the notice to quit. If you want to write that down. And right. There are certain requirements that are by law.
I've read all those requirements. It's an $85 minimum fee, which I don't have at the moment because I'm trying to take care of bills, and so is my wife. I know I have to fill out the paperwork. I have to send it to them through my mail. I know I have to give them a notice written on their door. I actually have given them numerous verbal written warnings. Yeah. But they just know that as long as they keep running those bills up, Mom and Dad can't afford to pay the eviction. So we'll just keep staying here.
Like they're starving poor Curtis and his wife to keep them from being able to evict them. This thing is terrible. I had no idea it was going to be this convoluted. I really assumed it was just like, hey, you tell them to get out because they're your blood.
Well, it's a little bit more than that. If you guys will let me elaborate just a little more, I don't know how much time you have left, but
sure.
Long story short, I only charge my daughter $450 a month for rent. You get your own access to your own locking bedroom. Nobody else has a key to it. You have shared kitchen. You have shared Wi-Fi. You have shared yard. You have shared bathrooms. You have shared front yard and everything, okay? And then my son and his girlfriend, I only told them $600 a month, which was normally going to be $450 a month. And get this, I thought it would give them more incentive. The whole idea behind the rent thing was we used a little bit of money that we need to pay for the bills and buy food. The rest we were going to put away and save for them so they would have money to move out because they wouldn't be able to save it themselves.
Yeah.
And they stopped paying rent. So we stopped running. We ran out of money. I mean, it can no longer help them. And now they keep telling us, I got money saved and we're going to be out next month. And it just never ends. So, and then the things with that being broken around my house, my son has broken numerous things in my house, many doors. He's kicked in my other, I guess you would call tenants' doors. My daughter, he's kicked in her door. He's kicked in our bathroom door.
Like in rage?
Tried to kick our room door in, me and my wife's room.
He's just getting angry or what? Or does he hate doors?
Yeah, he gets mad. He doesn't like what you tell him. Like he breaks the rules all the time, and then you get mad at him for it.
Dude.
He'll go around and breaking stuff around the house. I got numerous things I got to replace. He tore past my ceiling in a bedroom downstairs.
All right.
He's shooting BB guns through it and everything and tearing it up.
Curtis is in hell.
But now you've entered into another area too, which is that you can involve the police in this too, because now you've got.
They won't do anything, and they won't do anything unless he kicks in one of our personal bedroom doors. They can go around the house, break everything they want, but as long as they don't kick in me and my wife's door or my daughter's door or someone else or my wife's mother-in-law, my mother's door, then we can't do nothing about it. They won't do nothing.
All right, shooting a BB gun in there. I mean, it's these are all. Listen, Curtis, this is heartbreaking what you're going through.
Dude, I'm there with you, Dave. I can feel you. I can feel the deflation. This is crazy. I had no idea there was going to be similar rights to renters because we've had those kind of questions thrown to us before. And it's a difficult process to make a move and get someone out of that house. Huh? I'm out too. We're almost out of time too.
Yeah, Curtis. I mean, I do. Listen, I want to.
Can you sell the kids?
Solve this for you.
Etsy?
No, yeah. It's just that there are some of these things you may have to do, especially if the police will not get involved in what I think is assaultive behavior. It's violent behavior. He's shooting a BB gun in the house. It's created a dangerous condition.
What about lighting a firework in my bedroom downstairs and
that's
then
also
taking
probably
a video of it and having the nerve to take it up to Mom and show her, oh, this was last year. Oh, no, it wasn't. You just did that recently and took video of it in our house. You lit a firework in our house.
Huh. Well, that's probably is that where he goes then? He goes to the cops?
I would continue to try to push that issue, too, because then you could at least get him out of the house. And at that point, it makes some of the eviction process a little bit easier.
Thank you for listening to the Law Frog Radio Show with David McDivitt and Ross Ford on Kilo 94.3 FM, presented by McDivitt Law Firm.